This complex was built in 1990 by Norwegian adventurer Thor Heyerdahl, and he theorised that these pyramid structures were built at a time when people were traversing the oceans, and that there was a strong link between the pyramid building cultures of ancient Egypt and Central America. A lot smaller than the pyramids, of course, but you can see the stacked slopes. Let's go get a little bit closer to them. Just a wee path. Beautiful day. I think we can go all the way around. I'll try and get as close as possible to the actual rocks, but if it was a little bit more adventurous, I'd maybe climb up on top of them. In 2009, author and investigator Philip Coppens arrived in Tenerife to investigate the archaeologists' claim that these pyramids are only as old as the 18th century. On the matter, he described the pyramids as this. The fact is that in one plaza between the two pyramids, so just down there, the archaeologists dug down 80 to 150 centimetres into the earth of the pyramids, but stopped at a level they equated to the 18th century. From this, the mistaken conclusion was reached that they had dug down all the way to the bottom, and that they had realised that the oldest layer was only 2 centuries old. Nothing can be further from the truth. So the archaeologists, when they came here to date the site, they only dug 150 centimetres down into these pyramids, which, as you can see, are about at least 2.5–3 metres. Some of them are about 6 metres. They only dug 150 centimetres down, so the very top layer, and they came to the conclusion that the tool markings and the things that they seen resembled the 18th century, which means that the entire set of these pyramids must only be 200 years old. Interesting conclusion. They say that it was farmers just clearing their lands. They built these rocks for no reason, just to get rid of them, out of the way. But Thor Heyerdahl put forward the fact that maybe it was the native people of this land, long before the Spanish conquistadors ever arrived here, and they believe that the Guanches, native peoples of the Canary Islands, built these pyramids for their own purposes. As you can see there's a step right up through the middle, and some investigators believe that those steps were built so that when the sun was rising you could walk up the stairs directly on top, where it would lead you to the rising sun. Let's take a wee journey up and see if you can get away with it. There we go. At the top of the pyramids of Güímar. We made it. What a beautiful view. Investigators from the Canary Institute of Astrophysics started to realise that the long terraces of these pyramids that we're walking down right now actually equated and lined up with the winter and summer solstices. So this knowledge of the pyramid building was actually a little bit more specific than just farmers clearing their lands, and as you can see they're pretty big. I've managed to get up onto them. Oh. It's a beautiful sight, to be honest. There's a little bit of a green grass there, and we're going to just try and get onto it for you. So they say that these long sides line up with the winter and summer solstices. How cool is this? These are actually on the complex now. Oh. We're actually on the pyramid complex now. This is a flat part in between the two pyramids here. The Guanche people, who some say built this location, are said to be descendants of North African tribes called the Berbers of North Africa, who came over here, populated these lands. But there's rumours and legend says that the peoples, the Guanches peoples, were actually Atlanteans who survived because they lived in the mountain peaks of the volcano, and they eventually became the Guanche peoples who built these pyramids and had certain knowledge of the alignments of the summer and winter solstice, and built these pyramids for a purpose that wasn't just clearing lands or farmers or getting rid of stones, but was actually a much more significant purpose, and maybe they had a religion or a spiritual aspect to it. I mean, just look at that. The way that lines up with the volcano in the background, it's stunning. What we do know of the Guanche people is from writings from the Spanish conquistadors and certain archaeological sites that have gone around in this area. But they are said to have been hunter-gatherer folk, a lot like those in the Stone Age, and building pyramid structures like this could have been linked to Egyptian culture, because in many places around here, in caves, they found mummies, mummification, just like they do in ancient Egypt, building pyramids like this. Similar kind of cultures, thousands of years apart, maybe passing knowledge between each other. It's very fascinating to think about how different cultures in different parts of the world, thousands and thousands of miles away, could have shared the same knowledge. Maybe it was passed down, maybe it was linked, maybe they were actually part of an ancient, even more ancient culture, which, when the descendants moved to other lands, they brought that knowledge with them. And I think that's maybe what you see in this complex here. From what we know from archaeological discoveries is that these parts were split into 9 different kingdoms, and that each had a king known as a monarchy. And we know this from the hieroglyphics that were found in the caves, much like ancient Egypt. And could it be that those Guanche people who made those hieroglyphs and built these pyramids got the information and the astronomical alignments from a much more ancient source? It begs the question and makes this site even more spectacular. The hieroglyphs show that the Guanche people had knowledge of ancient geometry through the discovery of the hieroglyphs, and that could have led to build these geometrical structures, much like many other cultures around the world. As the sun's setting in the background here, we now come to the end of this wee complex. And just to finish off, It's amazing how places like this that have ancient geometry and have summer solstice and winter solstice alignments and astronomical alignments are found all over the world in different cultures. And it begs the question, was it farmers that built this place 200 years ago, or was it the native peoples that had a knowledge and an understanding that we don't quite comprehend today, and the archaeologists just kind of dismiss as voodoo and hearsay? But it's part of a more global thing. Pyramids everywhere, and these ones today have lived up to my expectation. They've been brilliant. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. All the best.